Hello everyone, welcome back to part 2 of photosynthesis. So photosynthesis में there are two stages, light dependent stage and light independent stage. नाम से you can make out light dependent. It will require sunlight. Light independent does not require sunlight. So let's talk about light dependent stage first. Light dependent, it requires sunlight. There are two steps in light dependent stage. पहला स्टेप एक्टिवेशन ऑफ क्लोरोफिल. तो व्हाट इज एक्टिवेशन ऑफ क्लोरोफिल? क्लोरोफिल गेट्स एक्टिवेटेड बाय ट्रैपिंग द लाइट एनर्जी. तो क्लोरोफिल एब्जॉर्ब्स photons. So what are photons? They are the light particles. Chlorophyll will trap the light particles. This trapped light energy will break down water in the next step. So I am repeating. There are two stages of photosynthesis, light dependent and light independent. From the name, light dependent requires sunlight. Light dependent में there are two stages. पहला, activation of chlorophyll. How do you think chlorophyll is activated? Chlorophyll traps sunlight. It traps photon particles. So ये trapped light energy breaks water in the next step. So water breaks down in the presence of light energy to give out H plus ions, electrons and oxygen. This breakdown of water to give H plus electrons and oxygen in the presence of sunlight is called photolysis. Lysis means breakdown. Photo means in the presence of light. So light dependent stage, it requires sunlight. There are two steps, activation of chlorophyll and splitting of water. Chlorophyll कैसा activate होगा? It traps light energy और ये trapped light energy breaks water in the next step. Water breaks down in the presence of light to give H plus ions, electrons and oxygen. This step, breakdown of water in the presence of light, is called photolysis. और photolysis का location क्या है? Photolysis location is grana. You remember what is grana from the previous class? Chloroplast में coin-like structures are present. These coin-like structures are called thylakoids. Entire stack of thylakoid is called grana. So what is location for photolysis? Grana. Now my question is, do you think H plus ions, electrons and oxygen are end products for light dependent stage? No, these are not the end products. H plus electron and oxygen end product नहीं है light dependent stage के. अब क्या होगा? There is a compound called NADP. NADP, consider it as a lower energy compound. It is already present in chloroplast. A compound called NADP is already present in chloroplast. Chloroplast में पहले से है. ये H plus ions which are created by splitting of water will go and combine with NADP. और अब क्या बनेगा? NADPH, which is a higher energy compound. तो पहला end product light dependent stage का is NADPH. तो क्या हुआ light dependent stage में? Light dependent, as the name suggests, it depends on sunlight. There are two stages. पहले stage में chlorophyll will be activated. Chlorophyll कैसे activate होगा? By trapping the photons, light energy. और ये trapped light energy will break down water in the next step. So breakdown of water to give H plus ions, electrons and oxygen is called photolysis. Lysis means breakdown, photo means in the presence of sunlight. कहाँ पे हो रहा है photolysis? What is the location of photolysis? Grana में. In the grana of chloroplast. The question is, now the next question कि ये H plus electrons and oxygen which are released from water molecules, are these the end products for light dependent stage? No, these are not the end products. क्या होता है? There is a compound So H plus, electrons and oxygen, these were the products of photolysis. Water molecule breakdown to give these products. ये end products नहीं है light dependent stage के. क्या होता है? There is a compound called NADP which is already present in the chloroplast. Plant में already present है. ये एक lower energy compound है. This H plus ion will go and combine with NADP to form NADPH, which is a higher energy compound. One NADPH is equivalent to almost 3 ATP molecules. So NADPH is a higher energy compound. पहला end product light dependent stage का NADPH. Second end product is oxygen, which is released out in atmosphere. So second product. Now third product, there is a compound called ADP, adenosine diphosphate, which is already present in the chloroplast of the plant. तो एक lower energy compound ADP already plant में present है. These electrons will add one more inorganic phosphate to ADP. Adenosine diphosphate में, if I will add one more phosphate, it will become adenosine triphosphate, ATP. This is the third product of light dependent stage. So what are the three end products of light dependent stage? Higher energy compounds, NADPH and ATP. The last one is oxygen, which is released out in atmosphere. This step has a name. The process by which electrons add one more inorganic phosphate into adenosine diphosphate to make it adenosine triphosphate is called photophosphorylation. I will explain the meaning of the word. Rylation matlab something is being added. What is that something? Phospho means phosphate group. Phosphate group is being added in the presence of light. That is why this entire reaction is called photophosphorylation. Is this clear? The last time I am repeating the stages of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis में there are two stages, light dependent stage and light independent stage. Light dependent, as the name suggests, it depends on sunlight. Light dependent के भी दो पार्ट है. पहला पार्ट, chlorophyll will be activated. Chlorophyll कैसे activate होगा? By trapping light energy. दूसरे स्टेप में ये trapped light energy will break down water molecule to release H plus ions, electrons and oxygen. तो ये water molecule का breakdown sunlight की presence में is called photolysis. Lysis means breakdown. Photo means in the presence of light. Location क्या है photolysis की? Grana of chloroplast. अब क्या होगा आगे light dependent stage में? H plus ions जो रिलीज हुए थे फोटोलाइसिस से वो जाके एक लोअर एनर्जी कंपाउंड के साथ मिलेंगे. NADP which is already present in plant, उसमें क्या आके कंबाइन होगा? H plus ion. अब क्या बनेगा? NADPH जो हायर एनर्जी कंपाउंड है. पहला प्रोडक्ट लाइट डिपेंडेंट स्टेज का इज NADPH. अब क्या होगा? एक और लोअर एनर्जी कंपाउंड क्लोरोप्लास्ट में ऑलरेडी प्रेजेंट होता है विच इज ADP, एडिनोसाइन डाइफॉस्फेट. ये इलेक्ट्रॉन्स विल ऐड वन मोर फॉस्फेट टू एडिनोसाइन डाइफॉस्फेट. अब वो क्या बन जाएगा? एडिनोसाइन ट्राइफॉस्फेट. This step has a name. It is called photophosphorylation. Rylation means something is being added. What is that something? Phosphate group. And it happens in the presence of sunlight. The second end product for light dependent stage is ATP. And the last product of light dependent stage is oxygen, which is released out in the atmosphere. Now, let's move to light independent stage. Light independent stage is also called dark phase. Dark phase, do you think it will happen at night? That is why we are calling it dark phase. The answer is no. Photosynthesis कभी रात में नहीं हो सकती. Photosynthesis cannot happen at night. We call light independent stage as dark phase because this stage does not require sunlight. Now dark phase में, light independent phase में सिर्फ एक ही प्रोसेस होता है. There is only one process taking place. उस एक प्रोसेस का नाम है polymerization. I will explain what polymerization is. तो by photosynthesis plant has made glucose. तो फोटोसिंथेसिस से प्लांट ने ग्लूकोज प्रोड्यूस किया. अब ये ग्लूकोज किस फॉर्म में स्टोर होता है प्लांट्स में? स्टार्च में. दिस कन्वर्जन ऑफ ग्लूकोज व्हिच इज क्रिएटेड बाय फोटोसिंथेसिस इनटू स्टार्च is called polymerization. Conversion of simple small molecule. Glucose, simple and small molecule. Starch, large and complex molecule. तो फोटोसिंथेसिस से प्लांट अपना खाना बनाते हैं ग्लूकोज के फॉर्म में, बट वो स्टोर करते हैं इन द फॉर्म ऑफ स्टार्च. डार्क फेज में सिर्फ एक ही चीज होती है. दिस ग्लूकोज, दिस सिंपल स्मॉल मॉलिक्यूल gets converted into starch, a complex large molecule. And what is the name for the stage? Polymerization. And what is the location for polymerization in the chloroplast? कहाँ होता है polymerization chloroplast में? The location is colorless ground matrix, which is stroma. The colorless ground matrix, which is also called stroma. The location for dark phase, light independent phase is stroma. Now a question to all of you. Do you think ग्लूकोज को स्टार्च में कन्वर्ट करने के लिए एनर्जी लगेगा? लाइट एनर्जी तो नहीं है इस फेज में, बिकॉज लाइट इंडिपेंडेंट, देयर इज नो लाइट एनर्जी. तो वो एनर्जी कहाँ से आएगा? फ्रॉम वेयर दिस एनर्जी विल बी डिराइव्ड? सो कन्वर्जन ऑफ ग्लूकोज इनटू स्टार्च रिक्वायर्स एनर्जी. तो दिस एनर्जी इज डिराइव्ड फ्रॉम एटीपी एंड NADPH मॉलिक्यूल which are produced in light dependent stage. तो ग्लूकोज को स्टार्च में कन्वर्ट करने के लिए एनर्जी रिक्वायर है, एंड दिस एनर्जी कम्स फ्रॉम ATP एंड NADPH, जो कहाँ प्रोड्यूस किया था? लाइट डिपेंडेंट स्टेज में. इज दिस क्लियर? सो लाइट इंडिपेंडेंट स्टेज, इंडिपेंडेंट एज द नेम सजेस्ट, it will not require sunlight. It is also called dark phase because it does not require sunlight. The only process which take place in dark phase is polymerization. Photosynthesis से जो ग्लूकोज बना है वो स्टोर होगा in the form of starch. Simple small molecules get converted into complex large molecule. And what is the name of the process? Polymerization. Where is the location for polymerization? Stroma, colorless ground matrix of chloroplast. Guys, before moving to the next topic, some possible questions for your board paper. A very frequently asked question. NADP and NADPH का full form. You have to memorize the full form. What's the full form for NADP? Nicotinamide, adenine, dinucleotide, phosphate. Nicotinamide, adenine, dinucleotide, phosphate. You have to memorize full form for NADP, NADPH, ADP, ATP. Memorize the full form. They can ask you to expand these terms. Second question, they can ask you odd one out. I'll give you an example how. NADPH, ATP, oxygen, let's say ethanol. What is the odd one out? And write the category to which others belong. Odd one out will be ethanol. What is the category for these? These are the end products for light dependent stage. Now, another example for odd one out. Let's say glucose, oxygen, water, ethanol. Choose the odd one out and write the category to which others belong. What's the odd one out? Ethanol. What is the category for glucose, oxygen and water? These are the products of which reaction in plants? Photosynthesis. You remember reaction for photosynthesis? Carbon dioxide and water combine in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll to form water, oxygen and glucose. So what are glucose, oxygen and water? End product of photosynthesis. Now, moving to the next topic, which is translocation. I think you have done translocation even in your 8th standard. So you should have some idea what translocation is. So there's nothing difficult in translocation. So what happens? Glucose, sucrose, starch. I will explain this. So by photosynthesis, plant makes glucose, but they transport their food in the form of sucrose to all the parts of the plant. Glucose is a simple sugar. Sucrose is also a simple sugar. So why do you think plants are converting glucose into sucrose? Plant क्या करते हैं? They make their food in the form of glucose. Now plant will transport their food in the form of sucrose to all the parts of the plant. And this process of transportation of their food in the form of sucrose to all the parts of the plant is called translocation. तो प्लांट अपना फूड बनाते हैं in the form of glucose, transport करते हैं in the form of sucrose, and they store it in the form of starch. There is a very important question to all of you. Glucose simple sugar है, sucrose भी simple sugar है. Both are soluble. Why do you think there is a need in plants for glucose to be converted into sucrose for the process of transportation? Glucose भी simple sugar है, sucrose भी simple sugar है. So why do you think plants are converting glucose into sucrose for the process of translocation? Now, try to find the answer to this question. Moving to the next topic. So the next topic in the chapter is external factors which affect photosynthesis. So what are the external factors? The first external factor is intensity of sunlight and carbon dioxide concentration. Sunlight, of course, rate of photosynthesis sunlight पे depend करेगी. Intensity of sunlight affect करेगा rate of photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide एक important reactant है for photosynthesis. So of course, carbon dioxide concentration will also affect rate of photosynthesis. So intensity of sunlight and carbon dioxide concentration are studied together. तो कैसे how both of them affect rate of photosynthesis? तो rate of photosynthesis, intensity of sunlight. तो जैसे जैसे intensity of sunlight is increased, rate of photosynthesis increases with increase in intensity of sunlight. पर एक point पे आके it will become constant. So as intensity of sunlight is increased, rate of photosynthesis also increases. But at a point, after a point, it will become constant. इस point पे आके constant हुआ. What became the limiting factor? Carbon dioxide का concentration became the limiting factor. इस point पे, if we will increase carbon dioxide concentration, rate of photosynthesis will again show some increase, but will again stabilize at 0.05% carbon dioxide concentration. So what happened? External factors जो भी photosynthesis को affect करते हैं, the first external factor is intensity of sunlight and carbon dioxide concentration. Of course, sunlight important है photosynthesis के लिए, carbon dioxide भी. तो both of them are studied together. जैसे जैसे we increase intensity of sunlight, rate of photosynthesis also increases. But after a point it becomes constant. इस point पे क्या है limiting factor? Carbon dioxide concentration. At this point, if I will start increasing carbon dioxide concentration, rate of photosynthesis will again increase for some time, but will again stabilize at a point. किस point पे दोबारा stabilize करेगी? 0.05% carbon dioxide concentration. Is this clear? This graph is important for you. Now the second external factor. Second external factor is temperature. Temperature also affects photosynthesis. How? We all know कि सारे reactions के लिए living organism में enzymes are important. और enzymes एक optimum temperature पे ही काम करते हैं. Above that optimum temperature, enzyme starts denaturing. तो अगर temperature बहुत ही high होगा, enzymes will be destroyed, enzymes will get denatured. और living organisms में most of the reactions require enzymes. तो how temperature is playing an important part? Photosynthesis के लिए the optimum temperature 35 degrees Celsius. After 35 degrees Celsius, rate of photosynthesis starts decreasing. And after 40 degrees Celsius, rate of photosynthesis completely stops. Kyunki what will happen after 40 degrees Celsius? All the enzymes which are required for photosynthesis will be destroyed. Enzymes get denatured at very high temperature, or without enzymes, photosynthesis cannot take place. So how temperature is an external factor, right? How is it affecting rate of photosynthesis? 35 degrees Celsius पे maximum rate of photosynthesis होती है. After 35 degrees Celsius, rate of photosynthesis starts decreasing. And after 40 degrees Celsius, photosynthesis completely stops. There's one more point. With every 10 degrees Celsius rise in temperature, rate of photosynthesis doubles. I will explain this with the help of an example. Suppose initially temperature था 10 डिग्री सेल्सियस. अगर टेम्परेचर को 10 डिग्री सेल्सियस से बढ़ा दिया, 20 डिग्री सेल्सियस कर दिया, what will happen to rate of photosynthesis? Rate of photosynthesis will be double. अगर rate of photosynthesis स्टार्टिंग में x थी, तो यहाँ पे 2x हो जाएगी. With every 10 degree Celsius rise in temperature, rate of photosynthesis almost doubles. But ये कहाँ तक होगा? Only till 35 degrees Celsius. Maximum rate of photosynthesis at 35 degrees Celsius. After 35 it starts decreasing, and after 40 it completely stops. Now the next external factor. Next external factor is water. We all know water is important for photosynthesis, right? कहाँ पे? At which step? Photolysis. Photolysis में plant requires water. So if plant does not have sufficient water, rate of photosynthesis will be affected. Because water is a very important component for photosynthesis. It is used in which step exactly? Photolysis. So if plant does not have sufficient water, rate of photosynthesis will decrease. So what are all the external factors which affect rate of photosynthesis? पहला, intensity of sunlight and carbon dioxide concentration. जैसे जैसे intensity of sunlight बढ़ रही है, rate of photosynthesis भी बढ़ रही है, but only up to a certain point. उस point पे carbon dioxide concentration becomes a limiting factor. Now at this point, if I will start increasing carbon dioxide concentration, दोबारा rate of photosynthesis बढ़ेगी, but after some time will again become constant, और वो constant point क्या होगा? 0.05% CO2. Second external factor, temperature. Maximum rate of photosynthesis 35 degrees Celsius पे, उसके बाद it starts decreasing, and after 40 it completely stops. Next external factor is water. Water बहुत important है for photolysis. If there is not sufficient water, of course rate of photosynthesis will be affected. Now moving on to internal factors which affect rate of photosynthesis. पहला factor, chlorophyll. By now everyone knows chlorophyll traps sunlight for the process of photosynthesis. No chlorophyll, no photosynthesis. So there is a very important mineral which is important for the production of chlorophyll in plants, magnesium. Magnesium is important for the production of chlorophyll in plants. So if a plant is deficient in magnesium, will not be able to produce chlorophyll. And without chlorophyll, what will not happen? Photosynthesis. So no magnesium, no chlorophyll, no photosynthesis. So chlorophyll was the first internal factor. Second internal factor is protoplasm. So what is protoplasm? 9th standard, first chapter. Cytoplasm, plus nucleus is together called protoplasm. You remember jelly-like substance in the cell is called cytoplasm. All the cell organelles, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, chloroplast are present in the cytoplasm. So for some reason, if protoplasm is dehydrated because of lack of water, if protoplasm is dehydrated, किसका structure affect होगा? Chloroplast का, because where is chloroplast present? In the cytoplasm. If the structure of chloroplast is affected because of dehydration, it will affect rate of photosynthesis. So second internal factor, dehydration of protoplasm. What is protoplasm? Cytoplasm plus nucleus. If protoplasm is dehydrated, it will affect the structure of chloroplast, which is present in cytoplasm. If chloroplast is affected, it will affect rate of photosynthesis. So second internal factor is protoplasm. Now the third internal factor है स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ लीफ, क्योंकि लीफ में क्या प्रेजेंट है? यू रिमेंबर लीफ में मेसोफिल सेल्स में क्या प्रेजेंट है? क्लोरोप्लास्ट. तो लीफ शुड बी थिन so that efficient sunlight or enough sunlight is reaching the chloroplast. Number of stomata enough होने चाहिए for diffusion of gases. Cuticle की thickness बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं होनी चाहिए. So leaf should be thin so that enough sunlight is reaching the chloroplast. Where is chloroplast present in the leaf? In the mesophyll cells, palisade and spongy mesophyll cells. So the third internal factor is structure of leaf. Now, there is a topic which is given in a box in your textbook, in a blue box, where they're talking about CAM pathway. So what is CAM pathway? CAM pathway is seen in desert plants, mainly in desert plants and plants like tulsi, neem, aloe vera. So what is CAM pathway? CAM pathway में क्या करते हैं desert plants? They open their stomata at night. Night में they will open their stomata and will take in carbon dioxide for the process of photosynthesis. During the day, they keep their stomata closed. Why do you think during the day desert plants are keeping their stomata closed? You remember transpiration chapter से? Maximum transpiration. Plant loses maximum water through stomata, and desert plants are trying to conserve water. So during the day, to conserve water, to prevent excess loss of water by transpiration, they keep their stomata closed. They open their stomata at night and take in carbon dioxide so that during the day they can carry out photosynthesis without opening their stomata. Such pathway is called CAM pathway, mainly seen in desert plants and plants like tulsi, aloe vera and neem. Okay, that's all for today. Now let's meet in part 3. Bye.